Man with Gareth McGuinness.
Well, we're back in store, back in show. Seems to be so much happening on the transfer front, and we've got Owen Kelly in the house tonight. Big Liverpool fan, and I'd say a bit of a womanizer as well. So you are. I mean, I've been out like 47 a few times to watch a couple of matches, and I tell you what, there hasn't been much football watched because there's constantly waitresses coming to our table. We calling them over, so.
Who said man can't multitask it?
That's it. Obviously, chatting to you quite a bit, Owen. I know you watch the show a lot. You were saying you were very frustrated last week with Liverpool's lack of transfer activity. Let's just put it that right.
Yeah.
But it all changed in the last few days, and they have signed. I'm going to try and pronounce his name. It's Dominik Szoboszlai, attacking midfielder from RB Leipzig, and they paid £60 million, which was his release clause. So, Owen, talk to me about this. How do you feel as a Liverpool fan with seeing Szoboszlai coming on the door?
Well, compared to last week when I was ranting and raving about we weren't signing anyone, it was sort of a signing that came out of nowhere because up until I think it was Monday, I didn't see any links. It was more like Thuram and Lavia, but I've been watching a bit of highlights on him, the old YouTube stuff, but it seems they can play anywhere around the front. So he's more of an attacking midfielder, but he can sort of play on the right and left as well if Salah or Diaz need a break. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him play in a Liverpool shirt.
If there was ever a YouTube footballer, this is the boy because he's got that kind of talent. Now, I have to say, I don't know loads about him, but I have seen him play for Leipzig a couple of times and for Salzburg before that, and Newcastle and Arsenal have been linked with him before. So his name was quite familiar to me, but it just came out of nowhere, really. Liverpool went down there, and within a day or two, it was done. And Owen, I know you give FSG, who are Liverpool owners, for anyone who doesn't know that, a lot of stick, and you're not alone there in terms of Liverpool fans being against the owners, but do you have to pat them on the back for this one and say, well done, they've paid £60 million up front for Szoboszlai?
For this one, I'll give them their due, but I was hearing too that they might have done it through a different company, like who gave them the money. So I don't know, but at the minute, I'm going to give them a break for
PayPal credit.
But no, I know they're looking for an investment, but at the minute they're sort of getting our business right. Obviously, we have McAllister for 35 million, which is a steal in today's market. So at the minute, I'm going to give it a rest in the FSG hit.
Do you know what? I'll tell you, you're not alone because there's a lot of Liverpool fans last week were quite frustrated. Two of me, they're my cousins, but we're like best friends. They were giving FSG a lot of stick. But all of a sudden now Szoboszlai's come on, and there's massive talk now, Owen, of Lavia being linked with Liverpool. It's no secret Liverpool are fans of Lavia, who plays for Southampton. He's a young player, plays defensive midfield. Very talented, and of course there's other teams as well being linked, Arsenal and Chelsea. Is this a transfer you would like to see done, Owen, or do you think 50 million's maybe a slightly overpriced?
To be fair, I haven't seen too much of him. I can't say I watched a lot of Southampton last year, but for his age and in today's market as well, 50 million, it's a lot of money, but it's what gets you I know he's a young player, but he has a lot of potential, so that's what's going to get you the top players in this day and age. What worries me the most, though, is Man City have a buyback clause next summer, so they could see him go to Liverpool and be all, nope, we're not having that, and just take him back next summer. So, but if that's who Klopp and FSG have identified as their main target, then I'm happy with that transfer.
This is one of the Liverpool fans I was talking about a few minutes ago. He was down in the dumps last week, and now he's saying hand the title over. And I think that kind of shows you the life as a football fan. One week you're down, and the next week you're up. And we'll talk about Liverpool's title chances and a little bit later on. We were speaking about Lavia there. Owen, for you, if Lavia was to come on, do you think that puts an end to any chance of Thuram joining?
I would say so. I've seen throughout the window that it's one or the other, and I've seen from reliable Liverpool journalists today that we've sort of cooled our interest in Thuram, and that Lavia is our preferred target. So I would say if Lavia comes in, I wouldn't say Thuram's coming through the door. I've actually seen Thuram linked with Newcastle in the past, so maybe they'll come on from there that we've got Szoboszlai.
Newcastle seem to be linked with a lot of the teams are linked with the same players. Like Newcastle were linked with Szoboszlai as well. I suppose everyone's kind of looking for midfielders. Owen, does it worry you a wee bit that all these players coming in, bar McAllister, if you look at Szoboszlai and you look at Lavia, maybe slightly he's got some Premier League experience, and if Thuram was they come on, Kone was linked, that a lot of these players haven't got a lot of Premier League experience and they're very, very young, especially Lavia. It's a big difference between playing for Southampton and playing for Liverpool, where the pressure's on every week.
Yeah, that is true. It does worry me slightly, but then again, compared to last season, we had the most Premier League experience that we've ever had, and we were awful. So I would try anything they have a better season than last year. But I've said to you recently, we'll have a lot more legs in the midfield now. We'll not get passed through the midfield as quick as we did last season. It's sort of the defense that worries me a bit more than the midfield now. So hopefully we can get
we'll talk about
back.
We'll talk about the defense in a few minutes. But just on that, this midfielder, I think you're right. They are looking for the kind of profile for players that can get around the pitch, press high, won the ball back. And you can see that with the players they're bringing in, and also someone like Szoboszlai. It's hard to compare him to anyone, but does he remind you a wee bit like Coutinho when he's just joined? He's that kind of flair player that can create, score goals outside the box. He's got good feet and stuff. So do you think is that the type of profile that Liverpool have been missing? That someone that can create from stuff out of nothing, really?
Well, to be fair, since Coutinho left, we haven't had that type of player that can in the midfield that can score goals from outside the box and create something or nothing. So I'm very, very interested and excited to see how he gets on next season. I was chatting to a old friend of mine, and he said he could be our next Kevin De Bruyne. So high praise, but if he's half as good as De Bruyne, then we have a player on our hands.
An old friend told you could be as good as De Bruyne. I can see why you don't want to mention his name, because that's a massive statement. You sure that wasn't somebody in your sleep last night? Maybe.
No, I've heard it being said. I don't agree with myself, but hey.
You mentioned the defense one. I've spoken to a few Liverpool fans as well. They seem to think it's a midfield issue. The defense is fine, but you don't seem that they have that opinion. Do you think they really need defensive reinforcements as well? They shore up that backline.
We at least need one centre back, I would say, and maybe a right back if we're going to push Trent on the midfield, because you've seen in the bigger games last season when we played Trent in that role, like as you Kanate was sort of getting isolated one-on-one and it was leaving us short. So I really hope, I don't think we will sign a right back, but I definitely think we'll go into the centre back market. I've seen Levi Colwell linked, but I can't see Chelsea selling him, especially with Pochettino there.
We're talking roughly maybe 50 million as well there. So again, a lot of money for a player that's not got a lot of experience, very highly rated. But is that just the norm at the minute? Owen, if you're going to buy a player with potential, he's probably going to cost you in the region of 40 to 50 million.
It's the same with Lavia. Like, if it was me, I wouldn't pay more than 30, 35 for him, but it's what he's worth to Southampton. So if Southampton think he's worth that much, then that's what a buying club's going to have to play. So it's sort of the same. If you're buying a Colwell, for example, Chelsea are going to say, right, he's worth 50 million, pay it or you don't get him.
I think on the Lavia one, that the fact they've got that 40 million clause on there means they're guaranteed 40 million if City want him back. And that's kind of a rough estimate of where they value him as well. Also, the fact that they're in the championship next year, and the fact that 40 million clause is on there, they're going to Liverpool to pay extra to get it, because they've got a better chance of going up if he's in the team, you'd imagine. And the money to get back in the Premier League is quite extravagant. So I think Southampton's in quite a strong set. I don't see Southampton, being bullied here. I don't think they're going to accept, if Liverpool go on again. I think I'm not sure how true it was, but I did read something about a 30 million bid being rejected. But I don't think there's any way Liverpool can maybe get them down to 35, 40. I think if they're going to get them, it's going to be at least 45.
I would say we're going to have to pay the 50, because it's not just us that's interested. Arsenal have been linked with them, but I don't know how that'll be with Declan Rice coming in. And then obviously Chelsea, I've seen today Chelsea and United linked with him, so he's a sought after player, like so. But hopefully we can pay the money and get him into the team.
Yeah, Dean, comment from Dean here. Dean saying, great to see FSG finally opening the checkbook and a few more is needed. need another centre back, possibly a right back if Trent has moved to midfield. Szoboszlai is a good signing and has the creativity we lacked in the midfield since Coutinho was sold. 100%. Dean. And you know what? That's another big talking point because I've just got it down here. Dean's kind of mentioned it about Trent's position. Where do you think Trent should play next year? And I know a lot of Liverpool fans are telling me, he's better in the inverted right back role, but I have my concerns about the defensive he's playing so far inside because it leaves Konate isolated out on the right hand side. Or there's the argument does he go into midfield? But the fact they're signing all these midfielders would suggest that's probably not going to happen. So, just in your opinion, where would you like to see Trent play?
To be honest, if we're signing all these midfielders, I would keep him at right back. Because if we have the likes of McAllister, Szoboszlai, and say Lavia, that's the midfield three we're starting. Szoboszlai and McAllister are sort of creative midfielders, so we don't really need that sort of creativeness in the midfield if we have them two. So I'd be comfortable with Trent at right back, but if Klopp wanted to play him in the midfield, I would have no complaints about that either.
Yeah. So where, in your opinion, where would you like to see him play? If you were the manager, would you be playing him at right back or playing him midfield?
If it was up to me personally, it would be in midfield.
Right. But so that would mean you'd have to go and sign a right back. So let's just say that's in the thinking. What right back would you like to see come on to Liverpool if you had a pick, or do you think is Connor Bradley ready to step onto that role? They've also got the Scottish fella as well. He was injured last year. Signed from Aberdeen. I can't think his name now. You probably know.
Calvin Ramsey, is it?
Calvin Ramsey. So would NMT be ready, or do you think they'd have to go and sign somebody with more pedigree?
Well, Calvin Ramsey just went out on loan to Preston, and I don't think Connor Bradley is ready yet. But we would probably just play Joe Gomez there, which is a walking heart attack in my opinion. So I would say
it's a bit like me it's a bit like me in Link 47 when you're calling them witnesses over shoulders.
No, I generally right back's a sort of hard position to sign because there's not a lot of top quality right backs out there at the minute.
I have to say it's very difficult as well to replace someone like Trent. If you're going to, your chances are you're bringing in a right back. He's not got as much quality, but maybe it's a wee bit better defensively. I do have massive reservations. That Liverpool last year went on that great run towards the end of the season, and I think that papered over a lot of the cracks. Liverpool finished on a high. All of a sudden, they were only a couple of points off fourth, and they ran me a chance towards the end because our teams were dropping points. I think people have sort of forgotten about them first 30 games where they were getting battered away from home a lot of the games, and people would point to Trent's positioning. Maybe he was moved a wee bit further inside, but, think of the game against Spurs, that was the one team at the back end of the season who they played, who were sort of in and around where they were, and they can see the 3 goals in Spurs at the post 3 times. So that's the kind of chances you're going to give up playing that way. And a lot of people will point to the midfield, maybe more legs in there, but I still think you're going to be in trouble because you're going to have a player that's miles out of position. So it's definitely something that Klopp will be working at over the summer, isn't it, Owen?
I would say so, but I would say his biggest concern, is they shore up the defence because we did, compared to the season we won the league, we shipped a lot of goals last season and a lot of stupid goals at that. Like I remember in particular the game Brighton beat us 3-0. That was just, I could have done better in there.
They were all over the show, and I do think Liverpool's midfield didn't really change. It was the same midfield, so they just had I think they had a good run towards the end of the season. They played a lot of teams that were favourable fixtures as well, and they judged them 7 games against the R30, or them 7 or 8 games against the R30 will be a big mistake. They bank on that for the season. I think they need to find a better alternative. They should Trent. And I do think Trent is worth, people will criticize Trent for his defensive, frailties, but for me, he's a top player, and you have to accommodate them when any way you can. So, Owen, Liverpool fans were telling me last week they did not see top 4 even happening if they didn't sign some players. Now they've brought Szoboszlai in. Lavia looks like a favourite. Looks like, are the other teams interested? It looks like Lavia prefers Liverpool, and there's a good chance that could get done. And now all of a sudden, people are telling me Liverpool could be title contenders. So, Owen, what you've been saying this as well. So, talk to me. Are Liverpool genuine contenders next year?
I think we are, because, and I'll tell you why, because we still have the quality of, yes, we had a bad season, but we still have the likes of Salah, Diaz, Jota. Now we have Szoboszlai, McAllister, Lavia potentially, and I can see Newcastle having an off season, because of the Champions League, and I don't think Spurs will challenge. And obviously, it'll be Man City and Arsenal. That's the two teams we need to sort of watch out for. And I don't think United are having a particularly good window. So at the minute, out of the rest of the teams, I think we're the best place to challenge. I'm not saying we won the league.
I don't think anyone's disputing that they could be the best out of the
Yeah.
teams you mentioned, but I think they are two. Man City and Arsenal are the two really that they're going to have to finish above empty. In my opinion, they won the league. So do you think they
100%.
can? I'm not saying do you think that they will, but do you think that they can finish above them two teams?
It all comes down to sort of luck and injuries and all that there. So if you were to ask me now, I would say I can't see us finishing above City or Arsenal now, but I can see us finishing at least third.
So you don't see a title challenge then?
Not a sustained one, no.
All right. Callum seems to think if Lavia comes in and they sign a centre back, then they're very much title contenders. Well, if they brought on a top centre back, would your thinking change?
See, this is where we're going to disagree because I don't think we need a top centre back because I still think there's life in Van Dijk and Konate, in my opinion, is one of the best young centre backs in the world at the minute. Yes, he has his injury problems, but he's a top quality centre half.
But if you look at the other team, you look at Man City, for example, they have more than two top centre backs, so you can't really rely on two players. So they surely need another top centre back, regardless of Van Dijk and whatever way he performs this year.
Yeah, I just can't see us going out there and spending like big money on a centre back that's going to walk straight into our team. From what I've been reading and hearing, I just think it's a centre back to replace Amada Gomez if one of them leaves.
Do you think that faith in Van Dijk could be misplaced? The fact that he's had that ACL injury, he's getting older, he looks like he's lost a yard or two of pace. He looks a lot more vulnerable at 1v1 situations. Do you think that maybe that faith could be misplaced?
Oh, definitely. Like it is an issue we need to address in the next 18 months at least. But Van Dijk,
you don't see it as a top priority right now. You think there's bigger issues?
No, there's definitely bigger issues. Like Van Dijk is still, in my opinion, one of the best centre backs in the Premier League, and I think I genuinely think next season he'll have a stronger season than last year. I think the whole team in general will have. I genuinely think we're going to surprise a lot of people next season with how good we play. But that might be just.
I think that the fact that he's strengthening midfield as well, it should give him a bit more protection. That he shouldn't be left as isolated. But I think if that midfield is breached, and he will be breached at times, I think that's where we're going to find out where Van Dijk's at. Because when he's 1v1, before his injury, he was as good as anyone. I felt one of the best ever at defending 1v1 situations. But I think he's lost that touch a wee bit. So it'll be interesting to see next season. Talking of centre backs, you're talking about Liverpool maybe not splashing big for a centre back, but we know one team that definitely are splashing big for a centre back, and that's Man City, who are regarded as favourites again for the Premier League. And it looks like they're going to smash the world record fee for a defender, and that's for Croatian centre half Josko Gvardiol. So, is this the type of signing where if you're a Liverpool fan, you want to see players like this coming on the door? We're talking about Lavia being potentially a top player, Szoboszlai being potentially a top player. But Gvardiol is regarded as one of the best young centre backs around. He had a solid World Cup. I think he was slightly unfortunate that Messi had that amazing moment and that sort of cast over how good a tournament that he had. I know Spurs and Liverpool have been big fans of Gvardiol for the last few seasons as well, but it looks like Man City are going to get him. Is this a big worry for you, that the fact that they're already a strong side and they're now strengthening with a top player?
Of course, it's always a worry when like a big rival who really doesn't need that strengthening's that much anyway. Because as you say, over the years Liverpool have tracked them, and Spurs have tracked them, but we just don't have the financial power to compete with a team like Man City. So these top quality players are going to go to the likes of Man City, Chelsea, Man United. So it's not really a surprise, but it is disappointing.
I'm very disappointed because I really like Gvardiol, and Spurs wouldn't pay 50 million for him 18 months ago, and now he's going for double that. So I know every signing's a risk, but there was something about him that I really liked. But it looks like he's going to be Man City. Kieran Preston saying that Liverpool are going to be back with a bang this season, and there's nobody else finishing top apart from them. What would you say to Kieran? I know Kieran's a very passionate Liverpool fan.
I would.
Are you seeing what these people are seeing and you just don't want to say it, or you said you think we can surprise people?
I think we can surprise people, but I think saying that we're bang on top spot, I think that's a bit of a reach. And I'm a passionate Liverpool fan. Like I would love to sit here and say we're going to win the league, but here's hoping anyway. That's all I can say.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got Meats on next week, so we'll be interested to see what Meats has got to say. He's going to be talking us through Liverpool's squad signings and possible players to leave, and then possibly players that they would like to bring in. So that'll be quite interesting to see what way he would like to see the squad shape up come the start of the season. Now, one player that he's linked with at the start of the window was Mason Mount, but he has just signed for Manchester United. It's all but done, bar official confirmation. He was at the training ground, had his medical. I've heard he's even signed his contract. So I'm imagining this will be announced in the next 24 hours. Are you disappointed with this one, or are you happy enough with the other targets he's got?
No, I'm happy enough. I never really was too pleased with the Mason Mount links, to be honest. He's a good player, but for me, I think he's vastly overrated, in my opinion. But he will be a good signing for United. But I'm very happy with Szoboszlai, in my opinion.
Would you have said that if Liverpool had signed him, that he was overrated, or would you have said this boy could be the next?
No, I never really saw it with Mason Mount. Jack Grealish was always the one that I preferred out of them two.
I think you're right. I think Mount's got a lot to prove. He's had a couple of off seasons. He didn't really get into the Chelsea team last year. Well, that was to do with the contract situation. I'm not sure, because Lampard came in, and Lampard, had him at Derby, brought him through at Chelsea, gave him his chance. And Lampard really knew he was only going to be there for a few weeks, and he still didn't play him. So there has to be some sort of.
I think he had a lot of injury problems too last season, if I remember right.
I still don't know his best position. He came on to the scene as like a 10. We've seen him play out wide. Now he's playing more as an 8. He seems to be searching for his position, but I think it's opened up for him well at United that Eriksen looks to be moving past his best now. He was a bit of a stopgap, and now they can have that midfield three of Bruno, Casemiro, and Mount. Do you think that's a strong midfield three?
It's not. It's they have Casemiro, who's top quality, but I don't know. Mason Mount, but I'm not too sure. Fernandez is top quality, but I just don't see it with Mount. I just don't see it at all.
I think Meats is shocked that United have paid 60 million for Mason Mount, but sure, Liverpool have just paid 60 million for a boy we've only seen on YouTube, so it's just the market, isn't it? My dad says Meats needs to lay off the drugs for next week. That'll be interesting, because he is going to make some bold statements next week. Be interesting to see what Zach's got to say about them. Passionate Man United fan, because I know he's not going to agree with what he's saying. We've seen Mount move. We've seen Havertz move. We've seen Kante leave on a free. We've seen Ziyech. Well, he was about to go before he failed his medical. Pulisic is getting sold. Loftus-Cheek's left. Seems to be a lot of players leaving Chelsea. Kovacic is went to Man City. So especially them, if you look at them four, Kante, Kovacic, Mount, and Havertz, they were four. If I had been picking the Chelsea team for the Liverpool game in the first game of the season, I would imagine all four of them were going to play. So
yeah.
Why do you think Chelsea are selling so many of their better players? It's not just selling squad; they're selling, players that are stellar names. What do you think is happening?
To be honest, I just think them players don't want to be at Chelsea anymore. I just think they had such an off season last season, and a lot of the fan base turned on them, and I just don't think they were happy at Chelsea anymore. So I just think they wanted a fresh start. But it is strange to see a club sell a lot of their top assets in one window.
I think there's two things. I think you're right about the reason that I think a lot of them don't want to be there. You're right. That's a point. Since Bowley's come in, the whole atmosphere in the club's changed. Players seem they want to leave and they can't wait to get out the door. Players aren't signing new contracts. We're chatting about Colwell there. There's a lot of chat about he's a young player. He doesn't want to sign a contract. And there's rumours that he wants to go to Liverpool if Liverpool come in. So it'd be interesting to see if Liverpool were to come in with the 50 million, would he push for a move? Now, Callum's been saying he really rates Colwell and he could be like a real top get if they can get him on. So that'll be interesting. I think if he had a year left, Liverpool might have went after him a bit more. But the fact he's got 2 years left, Chelsea are still going to demand at least 50. They could even push for more. And then the other thing I think they're selling is because they have to. They have to. Suppose they have to sell some of their valuable assets to get under that FFP, because if they're just selling maybe squad players, they're not going to make their. I think they were like 120 million down, and they ended up raking on about 210. So it left them 90 million up for the FFP finance year, which ended on the 30th of June. So it gives them money now to go and spend. But I kind of think, Owen, the way it's panned out with the fixtures, it could be a great time to play Chelsea first game of the season, because I think they're going to be bringing in players towards the end of the window. Pre-season is going to be disrupted because they haven't really signed anyone, and Kunku's come on, yes, and they've signed a couple of young players. Other than that, they're well short in terms of maybe adding to the squad. So, do you think it's a great time to play Chelsea in that first game?
100%. I'm when the fixtures first came out, I was a bit concerned about Chelsea on the first day, because I thought they would have got a bit more business done. I know they're trying to get Caicedo through the door at the minute, but whether that materializes or not, but I'm pretty confident that we'll get a result against Chelsea on the opening day.
Callum agrees. He thinks Chelsea's going to get absolutely battered on Super Sunday. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of confidence about Liverpool fans at the minute. It's from where they were last week to where they are now.
It shows you what a few can do.
It is, that's right. Now, another player Liverpool link with, and it looks like he's going to be moving to Spurs, is Micky van de Ven for around £30 million. Now, I'm hearing this is very close. Prematurely say a deal's been agreed. I think a few sources have said it's very close. But I've also heard that Spurs are weighing up a move for another player, Bayer Leverkusen, Tapsoba. I don't know a lot about him, but apparently Spurs are maybe getting them both agreed, and then they're going to decide. So I'm not sure if Micky van de Ven will happen, but I think that it's more realistic, because I think Tapsoba, you're looking at maybe 45 or 50 million. I think Van de Ven's cheaper, so I can see Spurs going down this road. Do you know much about this boy? All I've seen is a YouTube video of him like running half a length of the pitch and stopping a goal. He seems to be very, very quick. I already clocked up a 37.6 miles per hour sprint this season, so he's definitely going to be good for recovery runs. And Callum was telling me today that Spurs are going to need plenty of recovery runs this season.
I can't say I've seen much about him. Like same as yourself, I've just heard that he's really quick and good at recovery running. So if you're playing for Spurs, as Callum said, you're going to need a lot of that. Like, so we'll see if he can get it over the line. But I would say if Liverpool were to come on for him, we would have got him. But it doesn't look like we're interested at the minute. Whether that changes,
we must be going foreign here, because we've got a new subscriber. He's looking to know about Gvardiol, the Man City. We've actually just spoke about that about 10 or 15 minutes ago. So when the show ends, you should be able to catch it back. Crispin, thanks for watching, and feel free to stick in any more comments. Connor's also saying that anybody would be an upgrade from Dyer, and I suppose he's right, doesn't he, Owen? Spurs have some poor centre halves, Dyer and Sanchez especially.
I think I would be an upgrade for Dyer, to be fair.
Well, I mean, Dyer struggles against. We talked about Van Dijk struggle in 1v1, but Dyer is absolutely Dyer at 1v1s. He gets absolutely roasted for piss, and he does not close down at all.
If Spurs have a starting centre back partnership of Romero and Van de Ven, say that would be a definite upgrade on what he's have at the moment.
Crispin's looking to know if Gvardiol's come to Man City. It looks pretty close, so it does. If you should catch that on the news, it looks like it's going to be around 100 million euros for add-ons. So big money, and it looks to be a record fee. She's telling him they can't now. I think he's very excited. He must be a Man City fan. He must be very, very excited about the potential of Gvardiol playing for Man City next season. This is the beauty of doing this live. You just don't know what's going to pop up on the screen. Now, Callum was also saying to me that he thinks Kane will end up at Bayern Munich. I don't seem to think that's the case. They've bid that 60 million last week, and we haven't heard much. We've heard they're preparing a new offer, but we've been hearing this for some days now. We've also heard that Kane rumoredly wants to go. We haven't heard him say anything, but intermediaries are telling us this. And we're also hearing that if they do come back to the table, Bayern, it's likely to be around 80 million. Is 80 million enough to get Harry Kane? Do you think Spurs will sell at that price?
I can't see Spurs selling this summer at all at any price, to be honest. I just think is that important to the Spurs that I can't see. I think Spurs get more value out of him being there for another year than they do selling him for 80, 90 million or whatever.
what do you think it would take for Spurs to sell? Do they have to go above 100?
I would say 105, maybe add-ons.
I think if they're anywhere near 100, it becomes a very different conversation. And I think Spurs would definitely consider it. But people will probably look at it and go 80 million, 100 million. It's not a big difference. But I just think a treble, the treble figure makes it a big difference. And the fact that Spurs wanted around 100 million from when he was going to Man City, and Man City weren't prepared to pay that. So if they were to get it this time with a year left, I'm sure it would be a different conversation.
If Kane comes out and says he wants to go, I think that could be a different story, but I can't see him doing that either.
Do you see the draw of Bayern Munich? Look at it from Kane's position. I know he's playing for Spurs and they're not winning any trophies and they're going free now and or rebuild. But do you not think it's in his interest to wait another year? If he's going to be on a free transfer, he can possibly stay in England, beat Shearer's record, and possibly win trophies here. As the regards of if he goes to, I think Bayern Munich's going to win the league with or without Kane anyway. He's not going to be a difference maker. The only place I can see him being a difference maker is in the Champions League. But I still think Bayern Munich are short compared to Man City and Real Madrid, especially now with Bellingham. And there's talk of Mbappe coming in next year. So, they're not at that level. So, is that a big enough a gamble for him to go there?
I think at this point, Kane just wants to win trophies. And if Bayern's a club that can offer guaranteed trophies, and I think at this stage of Kane's career, does he see that he's going to win a Premier League with Spurs? Probably not. So I would say at this point in Kane's career, I'd say it's better for him to go, but obviously Spurs don't want to lose him. But I definitely think we'll be having a conversation next year if he's still at Spurs. I think there'll be a lot of clubs chasing after him.
Connor's saying here, rather losing for 80 million than losing him on a free, no point scoring 20 plus goals and having nothing to show for it. Look, that is a fair point, but I still think I don't think Spurs can finish in the top 4 without Kane this season. I really don't. If they sell him now, every club in the world knows Spurs need a striker, and they've got 80 million to spend. So therefore, everybody becomes more expensive. Yeah. And there's no guarantee that buying that player. We've seen with Richarlison last year, they spent 60 million on him, and that hasn't really worked as of yet. So, replacing 30 goals is going to be very, very difficult. So, if Kane was to fire Spurs back into the Champions League, then that's nearly the money made back through the Champions League qualification. So, I do think it's worth a risk for Spurs. And if they were to, like you're talking about Liverpool surprising people, if Spurs were to go and surprise people, there's maybe still an outside chance Kane would stay and sign a new contract. So, surely it's worth a gamble for Spurs. It hasn't cost them any money. He's come through the youth academy, so write it out for one more year and see what happens. What do you think, Owen?
For Spurs' point of view, I can definitely see that. But as I was saying, does Harry Kane want to spend another year? Probably not winning any trophies. And I know he wants Shearer's record, but if he retires just for say he's at Spurs, no trophies and Shearer's record, is that really a satisfactory career of a player? For a player of his quality?
Of course he'll be disappointed not they won the trophies, but I have to say that record, if he was to get that, not saying it's as good as a trophy, but no one else has done that. When Shearer set that record, no one expected it to ever be beat. So it is a massive achievement, but as you say, it's not a trophy, and I do think Kane is at that stage of his career where he wants to win. Crispin's keeping me busy tonight. He's looking to know more news here. He must not have Sky Sports News in the house or access to Twitter because he's looking for me to give him the transfer news. Maybe he misread my title and he thought this was just a transfer issue. He's looking to know about Timber and Rice. I think that they're very close. And your brother can relax. I do see them transfers going through. He's also saying that Spurs are going to refuse to sell. See, he knows more than me. He's asking me the questions. He's telling me Spurs are refusing to sell. So he knows more than he's letting on. Now, Owen, you're a massive fan of Steven Gerrard. A few weeks ago, it was talked about him going to Saudi Arabia. He done a TV interview with Channel 4 during England game saying that wouldn't be happening. And then it sort of broke a couple of days ago that he was back in talks. And now this morning it was officially confirmed. And he's done it. He's actually been learning about Saudi Arabia too. I see. Not sure. I think he needs to brush up. He needs to brush up a wee bit. But he's performed a U-turn and he will manage in Saudi Arabia next season. Is there any particular reason why you think he wants to manage in Saudi Arabia?
I wonder what that could be. Nah, I just think a lot of English teams weren't interested in him, and obviously when they're offering you that, when they're offering you like that amount of money, it is hard to turn down, no matter how wealthy you are. But I just, as much as I love Steven Gerrard as a player, it's just since he left Rangers, it just hasn't worked out for him as a coach. So maybe he needed to get away from the limelight of England or a top league to go and more or less learn his craft again, and maybe see in the future if he can come back and manage in England. But I definitely don't see him getting the Liverpool job at this point.
Well, I think that ship's well sailed now.
No, that's
Well,
fine.
now there's 30 million reasons why you might want to go to Saudi Arabia. I'm hearing
Yeah,
he's been offered 30 million a year, which is crazy money for a coach because I think Pep Guardiola and Klopp's on around 15 million a year in the Premier League, so he's on double what they're on. And let's be frank, he hasn't got anywhere near the experience or ability, or he's not shown the ability at least. Obviously he's still a young manager, but so he's earning double what they are. Yeah, he's probably going to stay for a couple of years, so it could be a 60 million payday. But as you say, how much credit is he going to get here in terms of if he was to win the Saudi Arabian League? Is that going to flag up any interest in English teams? Are they going to look at that as an achievement, or is this just purely going to benefit him financially?
I you hit the nail on the head there. If you won the Saudi Arabian League, it's not going to pull up any trees from big clubs or even like middle clubs in England. So I just think he's out there for financial reasons, because you don't go out there if you want to become a top manager, in my opinion.
Mm. Do you think the other possibility is that they had no other options at all? Do you think is there obviously no Premier League teams were interested in him. He wasn't really he was linked, he was semi linked with a Leeds job, but nothing ever really
Yeah,
materialized. Do you think if Leeds had come in for him, he would have had he would have took a chance and going to Leeds, or do you just
I
think that
think
he was completely out of options and it was either go to Saudi Arabia or sit in the sofa?
if Leeds had come on from, I think he would have jumped at the chance. But as you say, it was only sort of just tentative links. It wasn't really nothing serious. So I just think he's out there because no one else really wanted to take a chance on him.
There's also some report. There's also a lot of experts have been talking about this, and they've been saying they would question his integrity going there. You're a big Steven Gerrard fan, and I was a Liverpool legend. Do you think it's his questioning his integrity that he's going to a league where it's not renowned for football, and it's obviously been talked about at the minute as a big place to get big money. So, is this a slight on him? Is this a stain on his record?
It's hard to say, because I just can't
Well,
go
if
against
this, if
him.
this, if it had been Paul Scholes going out there, what would you have been saying?
I was just gonna say I can't say anything about it now. But in it is hard to sort of say, like, why would you go out there solely for them, like, without monetary gain? Like, if they weren't offering him 30 million a year, would he have went out there? I don't think so, because you're not going to get the recognition of being a top manager if you want anything out there.
Yeah. And we're going to stay in Saudi because we seem to be talking about this every single week, but there seems to be more and more happening. We've seen Jota from Celtic move there for about £25 million. Now, again, reports that he was on about £10,000 a week at Celtic, and he's been given a contract worth 190,000 out in Saudi Arabia. So he's nearly 20 times his wage.
Yeah.
Are you feared of this Saudi invasion? Do you think the European teams are going to be feared of this? That we're seeing, we seems to be every week now. We're seeing younger players moving out there. Jota's 24, Ruben Neves 26. It's not just your Ronaldos moving out there and your Benzemas. We're seeing players in their 20s moving out there. And Jota was loved and adored at Celtic, but as soon as the Saudi not rolled up and says, "Look, we're going to give you 20 times you're on Celtic," it was on the first plane out. So, does this just show that players, regardless of their age and their level, they're going to be tempted with these big money offers?
Oh, 100%. Like, if someone wants to make your wage 20 times bigger, you're going to consider it. I don't care I don't care if you're at the top level or not. Like, if someone's offering you 45, 60 million a year, like, you're going to have your head turned, no matter what age or what talent level you're at. It's very hard to turn down, but it is worrying for. I would say it is worrying for the Premier League, but not to the extent where I can't see an Mbappe, for example, going out there. I can't see like a Haaland going out there. So at the minute, I wouldn't be too concerned. But
Do
it
you think
is.
it would take that? They change it if a big, like a superstar player was they move out there, then they will be panicking. If say Mbappe's contract's expiring now in Madrid, obviously his dreams to go to Madrid and you would expect him to move there. But say the Saudis come on and offer they pay him more money than God and it's outrageous money and he moves out there. Do you think is that when the ball changes?
They would definitely be concerned, but in a way, like the Premier League are kind of hypocrites because they broke away. They broke away from their like the divisions when they started the Premier League. So I just think it's they're scared that they won't be the big dogs in town anymore.
I
With
think you're right,
them,
Owen. The football is very hypocritical, and that's a great point about they broke off and made the league in 1982, and also as well, only a few years ago they tried to break off and make the Super League. Some of them teams trying to make their own Super League again for more financial gain. So it is very hypocritical, especially when all our teams are, all our countries are doing it. When you're not, we've also seen them target the tennis, the golf, the big boxing fights in Saudi. So it's not just football as well.
it's just
Where do you
it's
think? Where do you think this ends, Owen? There's
I
talk
would,
of. I've heard fans say they're worried about the Champions League. Would they try and buy their way into that? But I think they're more likely to try and target the Club World Cup in 2025. I think there's a great chance we're going to see Saudi Arabian teams not, especially if they're going to sign so many of these sort of top players. Maybe not, but they've got you. You can say Ronaldo and Benzema. Maybe they're moving towards the twilight of their careers, but they're still big names. And is it only a matter of time before we see a TV deal come on? Because at the end of the day, if you've got the top players there, football fans will want to watch it.
sure, you've seen already when Ronaldo moved out there. Sky were showing some of the games on YouTube, and of course, like once a league gets a name like Ronaldo, Benzema, Kante, of course there's going to be like clamor to show it on TV. So I can definitely see in the next 5 to 10 years, like Sky, BT, all these big broadcasting companies showing the Saudi League for definite.
It's going to be very, very interesting as we move towards the start of the new season. And very, very early in this, and pre-seasons are only just getting started. We've seen players coming back this week. Most of the international players are due back now on Monday, and most of the clubs' pre-season tours in America, Asia, wherever you're going, Australia, they're all starting around mid-July now, so we're not far away. Are you excited, Owen? Are you starting to get them butterflies that the new season isn't far away?
Oh, 100%. Like I was saying to you at the end of last season, I couldn't wait to see the back of it, and I'm glad it's over. But once then the dust settles in and it's over for a couple of weeks, you're like, nah, I'm just itching to get it back on again. Then
I want you to give me your top 6 for next season in order.
Ooh.
I know it's very early, and I'll ask you again towards the start of the season, but just on what you've seen now, what you think may happen, and obviously based it on some experience over the last couple of seasons or so. Give me your 1 to 6 in the order you think they will finish.
Man City, they won the league. Of course, I think everyone's going to say that. Like, I would say Arsenal second, Liverpool third, Newcastle fourth, United fifth, Spurs sixth. I can't see Chelsea doing much.
Do you think if that was to happen, Pochettino would be in big trouble if they weren't to make a top 6?
With the fans, maybe, but maybe not the club. I think the club have shown a lot of faith in him. I seen the statement they came out with yesterday though, and that sort of made me scratch my head a wee bit, saying that Chelsea are the best. We're the best team in the last 12 to 15 years. I don't know about that. I think Man City would have something to say about that.
I think he has to say anything because he's already got that Spurs connection. And I think saying that was just to try and win the fans back. Interestingly, he seemed to alien to all the Spurs fans. I don't know why some Spurs fans were still sort of, oh, let's hope he does well, or maybe, I don't get that at all. So for me, it was water off a duck's back. I didn't really read too much attention to it, but I've seen a lot of Spurs fans on Twitter were saying that's me finished with him now. Look, I was finished with him as soon as he joined Chelsea, and that's just the top and bottom of it. So I can imagine the reception he's going to get at the Spurs Stadium November the 4th. That is going to be, that Spurs Chelsea has already been feisty over the last few years since that Battle of the Bridge game where Leicester won the league. This is going to be crazy. I think there's going to be a lot of drama.
It
and the
seems, it
stadium.
seems over the past few years, Chelsea and Spurs seem to have swapped a lot of managers, so they're getting friendly
Uh,
with each other.
it's funny because the fans don't like each other and the players don't like each
Yeah.
other, but as you say, they seem to swap managers a lot. But Owen, you were saying Liverpool for third place. Do you think if they were to finish third, that would be a good season, or do you think they would need to win a cup, or what's considered a great season for you next year?
For me, as I say, third in the league and one in the Europa League and maybe a domestic cup. That's what I'm going on for this season, and anything else is a bonus.
Would you love to see Liverpool playing in Dublin in the cup final against Man United?
Well, they would have to get out of the Champions League first, so hopefully. Well, now see, if we get to the final, I'm pretty sure I'm going to try and make my way down there. I would love to see us win the European trophy, even if it is the Europa League. I'll take it at this point.
And Liverpool do have a special connection with European trophies, don't they, Owen? So they're well used to winning them.
And it's the only trophy Klopp hasn't won at Liverpool. So if this is to be his last season, which I hope it isn't, but it'd be a good way to go out.
Will be. Owen, thanks very much. Thanks everyone for your comments. Seen a couple of new listeners there as well, which is great to see. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos. I'll say I'll be back at some stage this later on in the week because there seems to be transfers happening left, right, and center. And you know what? I'm working as hard as I can, but even for what was his name again? I'm not working fast enough for some people. He was looking for updated information. You can look at Fabrizio Romano's Twitter page. He might be a bit more reliable. But thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you again.
Cheers, lad.